Hello, I would like to respond to well, I can't call them anything different than accusations, really. Um, maybe, if I'm generous, observations of Aldrich Lucas about the OAM elections. First of all, I would like to note a double standard here. And yes, this is me criticizing everyone else. Weird, isn't it? Reversal of history. Aldrich Lucas took quotes from the Micropolitan Lounge, which I by no means intended to be publicised, and which I directed only, personally, to James Bukowski. He took them, quoted them, and publicised them without any sort of permission from myself. Back when I did that in, I think it was April, what happened was everybody criticised me for violating privacy, and breaking confidentiality, and now nobody seems to care at all. Now, I don't know what you want to call that, but I call that hypocrisy. And I'd also like Aldrich Lucas to remove that blog post, actually, because, you know, I did not give him permission to publish these quotes, so they're there for no valid reason. But now that they're there anyway and people have read them, what the hell. Yeah, so let's go through. Sebastiano complains that the past is behind us and that nobody cares about Dresner anymore. Well, that was my impression, and I'll explain why. I issued an apology, right, was it late September or early August? Early October. I think it was early October, wasn't it? Regardless, I issued an apology, and people accepted that apology. And nobody at the time complained. Nobody at the time said, no, I won't accept your apology. And you had the time then, you know, you had about a week or so to say, you know what, no, I won't accept this. But you didn't. So now I think anybody who is still criticising me is hypercritical and, you know, has no reason at all to do so, because you had your chance to complain and you didn't. So now you just have to get over it and deal with it. Okay? And if you can't, tough luck. I'm sorry, but I left that matter behind me, and a majority of the community left that matter behind themselves. And now nations which weren't even around for that time, which includes Yabloko, which includes Dorzhabad, you know, go ahead and just say, produce other quotes which I shall not publish because I do not have their permission. But needless to say, they're very critical of me, although they don't even know who Dresner is properly. Okay, a prime candidate. It would seem that they have simply given up caring, or perhaps forgiven him for his past exploits. Yes, that he is dedicated to micronationalism, whether for better or worse. But for the younger ones, Stanford and Sebastiano is all they have known, and all things considered, these two personas weren't too horrific. Exactly. His past exploits in Pristina and the UFSM are largely hearsay, and most have not experienced it firsthand. That is correct. But everything should be considered during a campaign. No. Let me make you an example. It may not be the best example, since I don't like Angela Merkel, but Angela Merkel used to be a supporter of the dictatorial regime in the German Democratic Republic. She used to work alongside the GDR government, and as you know, the GDR and Federal Republic of Germany were very bitter enemies for a long time, and now she's heading unified Germany. But she was basically supporting the human rights abuses which took place in the GDR. Did anybody consider that during her election? No. And why? It was a past mistake. I hardly think she is going to reinstate the Stasi or something like that in unified Germany. So I see no reason to consider things which happened a year ago and have nothing to do with the present in this election. I don't see at all how they are in any possible way relevant. So I completely disagree with that idea. I quote from the Skype conversation in the Micropolitan Lounge. Yeah, just say if you want it removed. At the current time, you're not there to ask. That's no excuse. You know, as I noticed, I couldn't ask Will Sergel at the time when I published those chat logs, and I did, and everybody criticised me. So, and now nobody's criticising you for doing so without my prior permission. It's not about getting permission sometime and in the meantime just doing what you think is right. But seemingly that seems to work as long as your name isn't Mark Dresner. So that's an incredible, so that's an incredible double standard here. And I didn't think this community was capable of something like that. Fact of the matter is, most have forgotten about Dresner. This is what I said now. Or seemingly have. Indeed, that's the impression people gave to me. And if people don't give that impression to me, and if people don't tell me that this isn't the way things are, how am I supposed to know? If they say, yeah, everything's fine, but they don't think everything is fine, then how should I know if they don't tell me? You know, should I hack into their computers and look at their private conversations? No. So, yeah, and anybody who cannot or does not want to forgive me, in bracket, quite honestly has severe issues with something called forgiving. Yeah, I think that. People are ignoring my having been Dresner. Yeah, anybody who does not deserves a slap in the face and a shout, get over it. Yeah, indeed. I mean, technically, I hardly did any harm. Now, whoa, don't, flip out. I know I was annoying, and I know I pretended to have a huge citizen count, but, and I know I didn't actually have a micronation, but pretended to. But really, what's the harm? I mean, so what? I was annoying. I was annoying, and for that, afterwards, I got labelled as a micronational terrorist. A micronational terrorist. Picture it. Al-Qaeda is... imagine Al-Qaeda was only annoying the US, sending videos to them saying, we think you're shit. What would happen? The people at the Foreign Office would laugh their asses off and then throw the tape away, and here people make a huge deal about it, and it happened a year ago. It's got nothing to do with present me. When he chose to be... Look, the thing is also, instead of just quoting the entire conversation, Aldrich, you've ripped out parts out of context, not mentioning what James Pekowski said the instant before, and there is no context to them, and they just make me look like an arse. I could do that too. When next time you're having an argument with someone, I'll just take random quotes from you and post them somewhere. Chances are it'll make you look like a dickhead. Okay? And that's what's happened here. Either post the entire conversation or post nothing of it. Because you're being entirely subjective here. When he chose to be arrogant towards James Pekowski, evidence. I don't even know what you are referring to. I was not being arrogant, I don't know what you're referring to there. He argued that I'm saying the truth. And I'm saying the truth referred to another thing I said, which he left out, which was about my history in the OAM, because I said that I was there in January 2010, and thus basically one of the founding members. I don't see how that is arrogant. That is the truth. I was there in January 2010. I did start the OAM Herald. I did come up with the basic procedures for activity testing. What's arrogant about that? It's the truth. Should I just ignore my progress and achievements in order to make myself look bad so that I don't get stamped as arrogant? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. If that is the case, let me point out something. In the recent OAM influence survey, sorry for using it, but it's the only reliable thing of its kind right now, Lancashire came out as the 5th most influential micronation, and Iberia was the 21st. I realise that. Why do some members of the OAM want an uninfluential liar as a... Oh my god. You see, this is denunciation. This is straight out insulting me. There is no person... Any person who says he has never lied in his entire life is a liar. But anybody who has ever lied is also a liar, so every person is a liar. Just, it depends on who you choose to call a liar to make him look bad in public opinion. This is... I mean, I'm sorry, I haven't read the entire blog post before, so I'm kind of... surprised by it myself right now. And I think this borders libel, you know. I mean, you rip quotes from me out of context without my permission. Yeah. You know, liar. No. So, yeah. As the leader of it. Then he quotes again, "When I revealed myself to be Dresner, I expected that I would regret the decision. That's true. You're teaching me a valuable lesson. The truth I know now is the dumbest thing to tell. I'm not a murderer. I was a liar. I lied with benevolent intent." The most important bit of that probably being, the truth I know now is the dumbest thing to tell. The reason why was because he was basically making me regret the decision of revealing myself to be Dresner. I mean, think about it. I wouldn't even have to do this speech now if I had never admitted to it. So the lesson he's trying to teach me, obviously, is that lying is better than saying the truth. Well, he may not have been trying to teach it to me, but it's definitely what he did teach to me. He goes on to say, "Do you think it was fun deceiving anyone? It most certainly not. He could have revealed it. No, I could not have revealed myself at any time. And had you actually read the entire conversation, you would know why. I was banned unfairly by Robert Leffler for something I did not commit. Okay? He said that I had written some ominous email, which I never wrote, in which I apparently made terrorist threats. I mean, and that's just absurd. But at the time, Robert Leffler was the only admin, and I told Alexander Reinhardt and Niels of Flandrensis, but they really couldn't do anything, wiki-wise. If that hadn't happened, I would have continued as Frederick Bayer. I couldn't have revealed myself. I would have been instantly banned by Robert Leffler. So, no, not only I know, any person who was there in September 2009 knows. And talking about arrogance, as earlier on, I find it extremely arrogant of you to make wild assumptions about the history of the micronational community. I don't blame you for not knowing about it, but then please don't write about it. If you don't know about it, then shut up about it. Sorry, but, you know, it's just incredibly stupid to write about something you don't know about. Really, you prefer him to be your him in bold? That's just pure insult. You're behaving like Dresner. And in the same text criticizing me for my behavior. That's just hypocrisy. He goes on to say, "Do you think..." Oh, sorry, yeah, we're already there. "Regarding the criticism he receives..." Criticism of what? Criticism of what I did. Criticism which is not relevant at all to my campaign. Criticism of history. Everything matters in an election. No! Okay? Angela Merkel example. Robert Leffler was elected 10 times in the GUM, right? And he had annoyed St. Charlie for... The present counts, the future counts, especially in an election where you're electing the leader for the future, not for the past. The past is entirely irrelevant and has nothing to do with the present election whatsoever. Thank you and goodbye.